my good golly gosh, oh my gosh, I really don't even have time to put in an introduction. If you're watching this video and you're on my channel, you already know who I am. But this is my review of Mekaku City Actors, episode 9, Ayano's Theory of Happiness. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this episode. This was probably my favorite episode so far in the series. And first off, I have to say, I have to give props to the woman who sang Ayano's song, because it was so freaking, it was so beautiful. Oh my goodness, she outdid herself with that song. But we finally get to see some things about Ayano's life and what was going on before she passed away. So, oh, I have to contain myself because this episode was everything. First, we find out that, of course, Ayano's mom passed away in a mudslide, but Ayano's dad was found. And later on, we find out that Ayano's mom was researching the monster, like the monster that's in the end, well, at the end of all the credits lately, except for like one episode. She was in the end of like the end story after the credits, and I was completely right when I said that the monster is the woman that is over the void, and the void was the world that she created with the serpent that came to her and talked to her. So what turns out is, when Ayano's mom and dad were in the mudslide, her mom passed away and most likely went to the void, and her dad came back from it, and he also has eye powers, which I knew there was something about him, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't put my finger on it, and now my worries have been reassured that Tateyama, I'm gonna call him Tateyama because I don't remember his first name. He was the one who came back from the void, and he got eye powers. But the serpent, I believe it was the serpent that was that convinced her to make her own world outside of their world. Is the serpent that's inside Tateyama. And it turns out that she had been researching, trying to figure out like what happened to these children, which was why she adopted Kiddo, Seto, and Kano. So she was researching them and trying to figure out where they came from, why they have these powers, and she found out that the monster that was in the story that she was always reading to Ayano was actually the monster that was over the void, and they got these powers because they had near-death experiences, like which was mentioned in previous episodes. So my mind was blown watching this episode. But after all of this, Ayano was confronted by her father, and he literally like came up out of nowhere, like literally nowhere, and his eyes were red. So they found out that his powers only activate at night, and it's literally like he has a split personality, because his powers has nothing to do with his like normal personality, which was why he was acting so weird. And as they were researching and digging like into his safe and everything, well, we also find out that Kano can change the way he looks to other people. So not only can he like mask what he's really doing, but he can also pretty much like shapeshift. And he shapeshifted into Ayano, and he shapeshifted into Haruka, which was why Aine pretty much had a heart attack when he shapeshifted, and she called him out on it, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, after they were like researching and digging and everything, they found out that the snake that was that's inside of their father, or their foster father, is trying to gather all the snakes together, because all the snakes can't gather to the queen unless they have a body. So they all take over bodies, which is probably why when they go into the void they come out with powers, which is probably because they have a snake inside them. And it turns out that the monster, which I had a feeling but I didn't mention it before, was that the monster is Medusa, and her hair started turning into snakes as she was in the void. And all the snakes that are inside all these people that come back with the eye powers are trying to gather towards the queen. And you know who the queen is? Oh my gosh. I guessed it right before she said it. But I was like, yes, I'm just that awesome. The queen is inside of Takane or Ine's original body, which is why she couldn't go back to her body. Which makes me wonder about Konoha or Haruka, whatever happened to him, since his personality isn't inside that body. So I wonder about him. But the queen is inside Ine or Takane's old body. So I was like, yes, I'm just that awesome, because I guessed it right before she said it. But this episode just blew my mind, because this episode was awesome. Oh my god, I was fangirling all over the place. That's a lot coming from me, because I normally do not fangirl, but I fangirled all over the place for this episode. So this episode was awesome. Oh my god. Let me stop fangirling. Anyways, so we find out that Tateyama does have eye powers, which might in turn be what caused Ine and Haruka to go through what they went through, which was what me and Three-Tailed Fox Girl were talking about in the comments in my last video. So I believe it does have a direct link to what happened to Ine and Takane. Takane and Haruka, as to why they passed away so suddenly. So yeah, this episode was awesome. And then also at the end, we always do, they talked about the monster and her story. And it turns out that her and her beloved were about to get married, and he never came back, and then that was the end. So things are about to get really interesting with that story too. I want to find out like why she secluded herself into the void the way she did, without her family. So I want to see what happens to her daughter or her child. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let me wrap this up, because this video is getting long and I know my camera's probably going to cut off on me in a minute. But this episode was awesome. Oh my god. If you haven't seen it, go watch it now, because I just watched it and this is like my live reaction to it. So, because it was just that awesome. Oh my god. But let me calm down. So I would love to hear what y'all thought about this episode. What do you think is going to be happening in the future, or in the next episode, or what do you think is going to be even happening with the monster that comes up at the end of each episode? But as always, please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe. And this is TsubakiSwagg saying adios.